Hi, this is Mark Rayler of Mark Rayler Training Services, and I'm here today to talk about our Regulatory Insights community train. So if you were to go to markrayler.com/community, you would see a site that looks like this. And you'd have the ability to scroll around and go to it. So from the home site, you would see something along the lines of this. And you have different menus on the left-hand side where you can go. So you'd have your welcome page that looks like this. Start page where you can have your introductions, announcements, community guidelines. And then up here, there's some products and courses that we're working on building out. There's a few there available right now that you can access for free. And we're looking to add a whole bunch of others as well. Where did they come? So the agenda today is we're going to give you a little overview of this regulatory community and for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to do a breakout and go into the private chat where everyone could have a little breakout session and discuss things. And then finish it up with a final wrap up discussions, any things that you may want to see in future sessions. Okay. So what are some of the things that are important about the community? First of all, if you were to go to this site, markrayler.com/community, and you weren't logged in or you hadn't registered before, you'll see two buttons there, log in and a register button. So I have a little video that I pre-recorded that I'm going to share with how you are to use this regulatory insight, and hopefully that would make things easier. I will post this in the community as well to get people to understand what we're hoping to achieve here. And the bottom line is that we're trying to build a community that's engaging, and in order for something to be engaging, there needs to be a two-way conversation. So we need to understand what you're looking for, and then we can provide those checklists, fact sheets, regulatory links, whatever the case may be that you're looking for. So I'm going to show this video, and hopefully you'll be able to follow along. Come to the markrayler.com/community site, and you are currently not logged in. You will see a page. Which looks like this, where you'll see our communities page for the regulatory insights, and you'll see a login button and a register button. If you had previously registered and you're simply not logged in, you can click on the login on the top, and it'll take you to a page that will look like this, where you can enter in your email address and your password, and when you press the login here, it'll take you to a page that will allow you to log in. If you have not been previously registered and you click the register button, you'll come to this page here where it says welcome to our community. And from here, you're able to take a quiz so that we can learn a little bit more about you. prior to getting access to our community. And so when you press to take the quiz, just simple one question that you need to answer. And that question is, what is the one thing that you need the most help with? And that just gives us a little insight as to where we need to be providing information that will help you the most in your journey on hazardous products and hazardous waste. So is it TDG? Is it hazardous waste? Is it WHMIS? Or is it something else that we haven't mentioned? Once you've answered that question, it'll ask for your for your name and your email, and there will be a button there for you to click now to get access. And when you click that, you'll be prompted with a screen that will tell you that you've been registered, and you will be sent an email with your login information and how to access our community. So when you click on that email and get your login information, and you come back to the markrailer.com/community, you'll be coming back to a page that will look something like this, where there's a welcome. The welcome will give you information about what we're hoping for you to do. But the main thing is for you basically is to introduce yourself. So I want you to go over to this area where it says introductions, and you'll notice that there's a button here to introduce yourself, or a button down here to introduce yourself. And please take the time to, put a little post in about yourself, put a little title, put some information about you, press the submit button and try to share. In particular, what are you hoping to learn at this community? Where can you assist others? Where maybe do you need some assistance? The more information that you provide and the more information that you put in, then the more that we can help you along on your journey. I'd also like you to select this profile button at the top and to add as much information as you feel comfortable with. So there's an opportunity for you to hit this edit profile button. You could put a picture in if you like. You can enter, your name, as much information as you want. The more information that you fill in, the higher your profile completion status will appear up here. And the more you share, the more that we can help you, basically. Down on the left-hand side down below, you'll notice that there's what we call a quiz dashboard. And again, this is an avenue for us to learn a little bit more about what you're looking for, where do you need help, and what can we add to our community to make it better for you. So what, type of information is out there. When you go to that quiz dashboard, you'll notice that there's two sections. There's one for, quizzes that are already been answered. There's ones for quizzes that haven't been taken yet. And if you were to, click on anything that you had done before and clicked on the button for that, you can actually see, what was the question and what was the answer that I had given for that question. So you can see, in case you were unsure what you had done in the past. Okay. So please take the time to explore the community. Please put as much information in there. Please post your questions. Please look to see what events are coming up. The more you take advantage of the community site, the more valuable it will be for you. And hopefully you'll find it a worthwhile experience. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of overview on the community. And I guess the main thing that I want to stress is that we need feedback, we need comments, we need your input. And just like that, we're hoping to get some of that in this webinar today. And we haven't really had the participants show up that we were hoping. So I'm going through this presentation anyways and dealing it and recording it and going to put it into our community site. But as far as will we do future sessions, well, that'll all depend on the community if there's a need for it. We're trying to find out what courses or what information that you're interested in. What are the questions that you have in relation to dangerous goods? What is it that you need to know? And, without that information, we can't, offer you any potential solutions or information. We have to guess. So I pulled a couple questions that some of my clients have asked me in the past and covering those in today's session. But again, I was hoping to get some feedback either through the community, by email, by some of the quizzes that we were asking within the community, as well as this webinar. But we haven't had any of those come back. So this is what we have, and hopefully you'll find it useful. But start off with TDG, transportation dangerous goods. Do you need to register your dangerous goods? There is a deadline to register for the client identification database by Transport Canada by October 25th, 2024. Some of you may have already done that registration, and if you had, that's great. And you'll know that whenever you did that registration, that you'll have an annual year to update and register. But you need to register for every site that you have. And there's, if you're not sure what to do, there's a number of links here. And so if we clicked on this one here, which takes us to the site, and I'll pull this up and show you what it looks like. It'll look something like this. And when you pull it up, you'll notice right off the bat there's a couple of video tutorials that they have here, which are quite good. So if you're not sure what's required by the Part 17 site registration requirements, you'll find that video is down here. And if you wanted to actually get a demonstration on the actual portal registration, you can click on this link here, and that will actually fire up a video that you can watch that walks you through the steps. But the main question might be, do I really need to register? Well, if you click on this link here, it basically tells you, who must register, the information that's there, special cases and all that kind of stuff. And there's an actual questionnaire that you can actually fill in. So if you aren't really sure what to do, that's the best place to start, is to go through the questionnaire, start asking, go along through that way and find out. There's also some user guides on there to walk through, but the big thing is to go through the questionnaire. And if you still have questions, reach out either through the community, contact me, and I'll be glad to point you in the right direction. So, do I need to register? Best thing is to go through the questionnaire to make that determination. How you'd register, you go to that link there to begin the registration and follow the steps in the user guide. And how long and how often does it need to be done? You have to do it before October of this year, and you must renew it whenever you actually completed the registration within 1 year. So within 30 days of your anniversary date, you have to complete the renewal. Okay, TDG training. So when do I need training, and what elements are required in the training? Well, so Part 6 basically says that you should assume that you always need training. And unless you're exempt or in some way, shape, or form, you need to have training. What training do you need? Well, basically, you need to have training that's adequate for the job function that you're doing. So whether you're handling, offering, or transporting dangerous goods, you need to have the training that will fit to the products or waste streams that you're handling that are dangerous goods, and that you know how to package, mark, and label, transport them, fill out the documentation, any of the aspects that your job function requires you to do. Once a person's trained, who's responsible for issuing the training certificate? Well, the responsibility for the certificate relies on the employer. And the reason for that is the employer is the one that understands what that job function is for that individual. And the employer is responsible for making sure that that training is adequate for that person to do that job. Now, what does the training certificate need to look like? There's no formal mechanism of what has to be. The certificate you see on the screen here is the one that I've been using for probably 15 to 20 years. And what you'll find is that it has all the elements that are required in the regulations and then some extras. But the main thing is that it demonstrates what you've been trained in, what are the different classes of dangerous goods, what is the course content that was covered, what was the mode of transport, and then it also has a place for the employee to sign and the employer to sign. Okay. So it's important that a certificate is only valid if the employer and the employee have signed off on it, that that training was adequate. So even if you go outside to do a training program, online training or consultant coming in, or any of those things, the employer is still ultimately responsible for making sure that that training was adequate for your job, and then it covered off the necessary aspects for you to complete uh, your task as it relates to transportation of dangerous goods. And then they issue a certificate as such. Placarding is often something that gets asked, and one of the questions are always, how many placards do we need on a vehicle? And without getting into a lot of different types of scenario, generally the patent answer is 4, because what you need to be able is to see the placard from all directions. So it has to be visible from all sides. And if you go to the Transport Canada website and you view up the question, can a forward-facing placard be positioned at a 45-degree angle? The answer is no, because then it's not visible from all directions, as shown by this picture here. And so it's important that understand, the purposes of the placards, the purposes of the safety marks on the packaging, is that they can't be defaced in any manner. They have to be on point. They have to be visible. They have to be the right color. They have to be the right size. And in certain situations, the placards will need to display the 4-digit UN number on it. And as either a driver or shipper or anyone that may be fixing these placards or labels in the case of small means of containment, you need to know what the requirements are from the regulations, and you need to know which of your products are dangerous goods, which ones aren't, and you need to know things like, are these materials compatible with other materials, all that stuff when you're doing the loading and making sure that you're loading and bracing the load secure. Ontario Waste Reg 347. So one of the questions I often get asked is, how do you determine if your waste stream is a subject waste? So there is a process for doing it, and probably the easiest way is to use the user guide manual that the ministry has put together. But I also have a subject waste classification flowchart and an instruction on how to use that flowchart that you can find in our community, and you can download it and get it for you. And there's a picture of that on the right hand side. But the bottom line is you follow that flowchart and you go through all the boxes that are on the top, and you ask yourself the questions as you go from left to right. And the very first box closest to the left-hand side that you get a yes to would be the primary hazard classification for that waste stream. And as such, it would be a hazardous waste and would be a subject waste under Reg 347. Even if you get a yes in the boxes, you would still continue along the top and go all the way through all the other boxes, because if you had multiple yeses on the top, then you could have a subject waste that has multiple hazard classifications. And when you would enter that into the RPRA site, you would need to identify if there was any subsidiary hazards as well. If you went all the way through the top and you got no's all the way across, then it's not a hazardous waste, but it could still potentially be a subject waste. And you would continue along on the bottom answering the remaining questions. One of them being, is it a liquid industrial waste? So basically anything that was created in industry that essentially is a liquid, in other words, it will fail the slump test, and you're not allowed to pour it down the drain due to municipal bylaws, that would be a liquid industrial waste, and as such would be a subject waste and would need to be registered and entered into the RPRA. And anything that's registered as a subject waste is required to go on a electronic manifest, has to be shipped with an approved carrier to an approved disposal facility. And if that waste happens also to be a dangerous good, then it has to also comply with the TDG regulations and utilize the appropriate TDG shipping name, the UN number, be in UN performance type packaging, have the right markings and labels on the package, and the appropriate placards on the vehicle. One of the questions often gets asked, if we have a carrier that's helping the generator by doing the registration for them, by completing the manifest and filling all those requirements out, does that relieve the generator of their legal obligations? And if you look at this question and answer I took from the RPRA site, you'll say the bottom line is no. The rules in Reg 347 related to who is responsible for reporting information about hazardous waste activities are not changing. Although generators can delegate service providers to submit all information on their behalf, the regulation makes it clear that a generator who has entered into agreement with a delegate remains responsible for meeting the requirements under the regulations. And so ultimately it's your responsibility. So it's important for you to understand that. It's important for you to be aware of what the requirements are and basically oversee whoever you're using to perform those duties for you. So don't give full access. Just give partial delegation so that you still have the ability to go in through the RPRA and review your streams and make sure everything's right. One of the things that I find that often gets overlooked is things will get entered into the RPRA to register a waste to be in compliance with Reg 347, but the appropriate TDG shipping information for that waste stream may not be put in, and that program is going to use what's inside that database to create what shows up on a e-manifest. And if the information coming out on the e-manifest is not in compliance with TDG, then the generator is responsible for that and be out of compliance for TDG. And if the generator is not creating it and not overseeing it and not reviewing it, and they're relying on the carrier for that, then that's putting them in a bad spot. So if you're looking for answers on hazardous waste registry for generators, there's a lot of very good, useful tools that you can find at the RPRA site. So if you were actually to click on this web link that's shown here, it actually will pull up a site that looks like this, okay? And you'll see there's a whole bunch of information down here. So if you needed information on how to register as a generator, there's a quick reference there. If you needed to get some facility information, if you want to be able to download the mobile app, there's information there. If you need to add a facility, you need to deactivate a facility, add a waste stream, whole bunch of information. It's all there for you. Okay. Okay. WMIS. So main thing about WMIS is that it's basically provides information three different ways. So you have labels on the containers, you have safety data sheets, and you have worker education programs. You have all the different pictograms that are there, which are based off of the globally harmonized standard. You'll notice that the biohazardous symbol is in a circle as opposed to a diamond, and that's because that's not a harmonized regulation around all the different countries. So because it is regulated in Canada, it still is shown in the circle to illustrate the difference. WMIS and TDG are kind of similar, and even on the waste side, for that matter, as far as training goes. So when we talk about a term called adequately trained or training is competent for the job, uh, really need to understand how the regulations, whichever regs you're looking at, apply to the tasks that you're doing and you're looking at. For WMIS, we tend to refer to this as core training and site-specific training. And a lot of individuals and a lot of companies will utilize external uh, online training for providing what I would refer to as core specific WMIS training, where it illustrates what are the different classifications, what do the symbols mean, what do you need to have on a safety data sheet, all of that good stuff. But the reality is, in order for you to be in compliant with your provincial regulatory authority, your employees need to not only understand the core elements of WMIS, but they need to be able to answer questions like, okay, where do I go to get my safety data sheet on site? What are the hazards associated with this product? How would I protect myself? Where do I go to access PPE? How do I don that or put on that PPE? What training do I need associated with that? What are the incompatible materials that are present on site? So I need to know all of those key things. So adequate training involves all of that. So right here is where we would typically do a breakout, and we go into our breakout rooms here. We sit down and we'd have some private conversations and chats and share best practices. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody that has joined our session today, so we're going to skip this and scroll over. And it's unfortunate. I tried, marketing and promoting this, but maybe the next session will be attended, and maybe it's that we don't have the right agenda. So I need to hear from you guys. What is it that you'd like to see? And we can discuss. So I would have asked you to join a table, have a private conversation, and to, share on some best practices, and then identify what are your, issues or concerns that, maybe I could offer some insight to, or that we could, put some valuable resources in and put back into our community. So that's your homework I'm throwing out there. So if you have anything there, put it there. And, think about any questions that you may have that you'd like to see, and any suggested topics for our webinar next month. I will try doing this again, and hopefully we'll get at least one or two people to attend. And we'll see how it goes. If there's not an interest in this, then it probably won't be continued. But if there's any interest, then that's something that we'll do. So please send in your thoughts. Please comment on the community. Hopefully, if you're watching in this recording, it's be something that you may want to join. Let me know what I can do to make this better for you. And thanks.